Hello and welcome to this demo video. Before we get started, I'd just like to explain to you a few things which will relate to all of the basic range spreadsheets. Number one, there is a key on the intro and setup tab of all of the spreadsheets showing what the different color headers mean. The blue headers mean that the cell's formulated, so it's locked and you can't change it. The yellow headers are where you can input data, and occasionally there might be some gray headers, which is just a different kind of data input, but we'll include instructions as and when that happens. The other thing that you can be aware of is there are ways in which you can damage the spreadsheet. So please do take a look at the link where you see this image, which will take you to a web page to show you how to better preserve your spreadsheet. Please feel free to keep a blank version of the spreadsheet somewhere, so that if you do mess up a spreadsheet that you're using, you can in fact just open a new one, a blank one. And some of the spreadsheets only last for a year, and then you've got a blank one to start the following year. So do keep a blank copy as a backup somewhere. And lastly, wherever you see this image, you can click on it. It'll take you back to the store where you purchased this product to see if you've got anything, any more products. One last thing, to see a demo video, you can click on this on a link that looks like this in order to go to the demo video, but that'll take you to the most recent demo. If in fact we've done upgrades and you're using an older version and you'd like to see the demo relating to your version, then do click on the watch on YouTube link, which will take you to that specific video on YouTube. So I think that's all you need to know. So without further ado, let's move on to this demo video. Thank you. Hello and welcome to the demo video for the website content manager. As you can well imagine, I make a lot of spreadsheets and I don't always use the ones I make for my own business because some of them aren't relevant to my business. However, this is one of those ones that I made for me. This is what I needed. I don't know why I spent so many years trying to figure out, not how to do this, but to figure out that I actually needed the spreadsheet. So yeah, I've finally made it for myself. I've put it in the basic range. It is quite a comprehensive spreadsheet. As you can see, there are a lot more tabs than normal for the basic range, but I didn't want to price this higher. I wanted to keep the price as low as absolute possible because I want people to be able to purchase this one, because I think it's really, really helpful. It is helpful. It helps me. I use it. I will say up front that there is quite a lot of information to gather for you to enter to start off with. So it may be a little bit of a time-consuming exercise at the start, depending on how big your website is. But I mean, I use the one I've got. Every time I make adjustments to my website, I'm opening the spreadsheet. I'm making the I'm telling this what adjustments I've made, and I'll show you why that's useful. So let's go through this. This is the start, the intro page. You can put your website in there, so you can put in there, I would put in spreadsheetsolutions.biz. You can put your website in there. And then the types of pages. Now, you may have a page, you may have a blog post, project, whatever the case might be. I've just put in all the different kinds of pages I have. I've put in because actually things like the menu, it's not really a page, but it is using an image. So I wanted to have something where I could put things like that, because I'm going to show you why, because it keeps track of where all your media is. The next one are your media types. So this is stuff that's actually hosted on your website that you said, I want to upload an image and I want to show on that page, that kind of thing. So I've got some JPEGs, some PNGs. I've put video, but I don't actually host video on my website, but I've put it there just in case I decide to do so in the future. Embeds, these are things like YouTube videos that you've embedded, or podcasts, or anything really that you've embedded from another website. So YouTube videos is the one I do most often. So I've got that in there. And I've got podcasts because I've got some podcasts as well. So you can select your types and of pages, media, and embeds. That will pop up later on. You'll be able to select what kind it is. The last thing to do are these two columns down here. Now these are for automatic backups. This is not imperative. This is just to show. It just shows a little graph to show how many changes you made since each backup. But the way it works is, for argument's sake, my host does a backup twice a day, and it does, so for example, it does a backup every day, 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Those aren't the right times, but I've just put this in as an idea. And then when does it do a backup? Well, it does it today, it does one yesterday, so -1, the day before, so on and so forth for the first week, so up to -7, and then it does -14, 21, 28. So those are when it does the backups. And then how many months? It also does a backup from 1 month ago, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. So you might have a backup every single day. That's fine. You can just put minus each day, but sometimes you have the backups where it actually starts eliminating older backups to replace newer backups, and these are the ones it keeps. So if you have a setup where you know that you've got a backup from today, yesterday, and so on and so forth, put the times of the day it does the backup, and then how many days previous to today. So 0 would be today, -1 would be yesterday, and so on and so forth. And then here you can say which day of the month. So if it keeps the one on the first of the month, then keep the one on the first. If it's the last day of the month, this will go up to, I think, 28. Yep. And then the last day. So if it's on the last day of the month, and then 1 month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. And that just shows the spreadsheet when your backups, your last backups were, so that it can tell you later on, okay, if you restore to that backup, you've got more data that you need to update, that kind of thing. If you don't have backups or you don't want to use that, just leave it blank. The beauty of this spreadsheet is just pretty much throughout the whole thing. If you don't want to use any element of it, just leave it blank. And then obviously you just won't be able to carry that element over to other parts, but you'll see how it all works. First and foremost is the list of media. Now, these are all the image names. There are some plugins that you can use on WordPress, for example, where you can plug it in and you can actually download these files, so it makes it easier to get the data into the spreadsheet. That's the only way I could really come across. There's no way to download all of this data the way you need it that I know of. So, but there are certain plugins that you can get hold of certain aspects of data. So, for example, all these names and the media types. But you can otherwise go and type it in, the media name, media type. You can put the size in. The only reason for the size really is just so you can see a total size of what you've got currently in your storage. If you don't want to use this again, any element, just leave it out. You can add the date and the time when this was added. Now, if you click on any of the dates or any of the times, you can see there's a drop-down list, and by default, that's showing today's date and today's time. So if you do anything on the spreadsheet, i.e. you add a new item, or you add a new embed, or a new page, or you make changes or whatever, and you go to the date and time, if you do it now, you can just simply go and just select that, and it'll give you now the time now. The reason why I've done it like that is because obviously it's important to know when you put these items up, because if you're going to do a restore on your website to say 3 days ago, you want this to flag up which of these items are now going to be an issue, as far as which of these items you now need to be concentrating on, because that they're going to be lost. So it's important to have the date and time in there. But again, if you're not worried about the media items, you just want to know what updates you've done, you're not really particularly phased about this, then you don't need to use it. Any of these elements, if you want that function, use it. If you don't. But this date and time means that if you do want to do a restore from 6 days before, but say for example you added this image on 2 days before and you go back 6 days, this one's going to flag up and go, do you realize this one's about to be lost? Embeds, exactly the same story. The only difference with embeds, you've got the embed name and you've got the link, and then the type. Let's just take this remove out for now. I'll show you how that works in a minute. It also shows you, let's go back to media. It also shows you how many times it's been used, and the embeds, how many times it's been used. So for argument's sake, these zeros are all images that haven't been used on my website. So I could, in theory, and this is what I'm going to go and do, is go and check up all those different images and go, hang on, why isn't that work? Why am I not using that? I could either have forgotten to assign it to a page, or I'm just not using it, in which case I can actually remove it. So that's one of the reasons for having all the media on here, is to see which of these media you're not using. But the other reason I'll get to when we get to the Pages tab. Embeds the same, the embed name, links, videos, how many times they've all been used. So you've got your embeds, that these are embeds from other websites, things from other websites that you're embedding onto your website, like YouTube videos, for example. Now the Pages tab, this is where it all comes together, because the Pages tab, you can list your pages, select what type they are, post, page, whatever it is that you've put into your options. Is there a contact form on the page? This is just something I've put in there. You can go, yes, there is. The reason for that is really just if you need to update all your contact forms, you know which pages have got contact forms. The other thing is, when was the date that it was added and what was the time? Now these ones you can actually go back. There's also another plugin where you can export all of your pages, and those ones actually export the dates as well and the times when they were created. So you've got those dates and times, you can put those in there. That's important to have on there as well, because same reason, if you want to go back, restore an older version, you can see straight away, it'll flag up straight away with who is which pages were added after that. You can put in a web page link, so an actual link to that web page. So if you open this up and you want to click on it to see that page, you can put a link in there if you want to. I haven't bothered doing that because it's just, I don't want to have the hassle of having to go and type them all in. But if that's important to you, knock yourself out. There's also a document text link here. The reason for that is sometimes I know people who would update their website and actually keep a text version of the text. So for argument's sake, if they wrote a blog post, they would have that text typed up on some kind of Word document or whatever somewhere on their computer, in which case you can put a link here to that particular Word document if you've got the text for that page stored somewhere. So you just got a link rather than actually adding it all onto the spreadsheet. Sorter column. The sorter column is merely here if you want to sort by anything. So if you say, oh, you want to sort by the last date changed, you can copy these dates, paste values here, and then just sort by that sorter column, because you can't sort by these locked cells with the dark blue, but you can copy the data, paste it in here using paste values, and then sort by the sorter column if you want to sort by locked columns, or even these alerts, for example. When you get some alerts later on, copy those, paste values, sort to get them all at the top. So that's just a temporary column just to paste data in so that you can sort if you need to do that. Then you've got your media. Now your media, you've got up to, I think I left 50, did I? Let's have a look. Yeah, 50 media and 50 embeds. So what this does is you can now go for each page and select from the media which image or images is on that page. So you can see how I've selected a few. There's one, there's four, so on and so forth. Now this is where it gets time consuming, but this is where I took a while to go through each of the pages to see what images were on there. You don't have to use this if you don't want to. The reason why this is useful is because if I come here to media and I say, for example, this one here, I would like to remove that image. Let's just say I've found that image on the images and I'm going, actually, I'd like to update it. I want to put a more modern version on it or something. Maybe it's a company logo or whatever the case, and you want to change the logo. If I say I would like to remove that, and now I go back to pages, it says there's one alert, remove, it's in this column. So we can scroll down to see where it is in this column, and I can see that one there. That page has got that image, and that now needs to be changed. So I need to go into that page and change that image. And this is where it saves me a lot of time, because I was sitting thinking, where was that image? Have I used it somewhere else? I'm sure I had it on another page, and that was just being a bit of a pain. So that is helpful with that regard. So that's why we go and select all the media, and we do exactly the same thing with the embeds just over to the right, exactly the same thing. When the cell turns green, what that means is you've selected something and it's found it on the page. If it turns red, it means that you've removed it from that page and it can't find it. If it turns orange, it means you've selected the same image twice, or the same embed twice on that particular page. And if it turns yellow, it means that you've selected to remove that on the media page or embed page, and it needs to be addressed. So you've got those three color differences. Yeah, so you can go and select. Now there's one more feature here. Let's just say, for argument's sake, media. When you click that, you've got all these media. Now let's just say you're looking for image 112. If you type in here, now I've labeled everything image 112. You wouldn't have labeled it like that. You might label it I don't know, car in driveway or whatever, if that's what it's a picture of. If you go and type in part of the name of the image and you click enter, you see there it changes to 1 and 1, which means it's found one media and it's found one embed. And the media it's found is image 112 because it's found 112. So you can type in any part of the text up here and it'll look for any media and embeds that it's found with that particular text in it. So, and then it'll show you. So the idea about this is, instead of having 445 items in the drop down list, if you put part of the name up here, you can only have one item, and it's easier to find and select when you're selecting the media. In fact, over here it shows you the top items. So if I put in 112, it shows me the top 6 items on the drop down list over here, so I can immediately see that's the one I want. So even if I go here and I can't read the whole thing, I can see here it's the third one or the first one or whatever in the queue. So that is just a helpful way to help you to get down to find the one that you're looking for these drop down lists. And yes, it is time consuming to enter all of those things, but if you do that, it is extremely helpful. The other things are alerts. I'll show you when the alert comes up if anything's going on the side here, or if anything needs to be removed, or anything you're about to remove a media, for example. The other thing is, when you go to changes made, you can put in a restore date. So if I come here and say, well, actually, I'd like to restore to the 1st of September, when you click it, it gives you midnight. If you say, actually, it's the 1st of September at, say, 10 a.m., as you can see, this change that I've made, which we'll get to the change log in a minute, has turned yellow because that was made after that date. If you go back to the pages, you'll see there's one alert. Where's the alert? Let's scroll down and see where the alert is. There. Why is that alerted? Because A, the date it was added was after that date, but also there's been major changes on the change log since that date. So now you can see, first of all, there have been changes to this page, and the page was added after that date. So this page we need to address, should we restore back to that particular date. So that's why it's so important to have all the dates and times in, so that you can go back to where it was that you so you can see what you've changed since you've done that update. The other one is here, you've got your pages, changes made and changes to make. Those pages are exactly the same. However, the pages the made are the ones that you've done. So you select the page that you worked on, select if it's minor or major or minor updates, the date and the time that you did it, and just put a very short description of what you did, so that it reminds you, oh yes, that's what I need to do. And that's really it. So I'd make these changes, I add these on every time I go and make changes, and then these changes to make are merely if I have an idea and I go, oh, hang on, I need to do that at some point, I'll put it in here and put a date to remind me. So this says this is due today. If I come in and go, I can't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow, I could just simply change that date, because now these are here to remind me of what I need to do. When I actually do them, I'll then put it in over here, and I'll come here and I'll right click clear contents to get rid of it. So this is just to remind me what to do. Once I make the changes, I put them in here, and then obviously with the date and time, it's keeping track, so I can at any stage go, oh, I need to restore to that date, and it'll show me exactly what I've done, what needs to be done, and what needs to be redone because I've done it. In fact, those changes are going to be lost. You've got your archive. Your archive is merely for changes made. Let's say you're going changes made, you keep adding, you get down to 5,000 rows, and you go, all right, I actually need some more space. If you want to come up to the top, sort by date, come up to the top, go, well, I'm never going to restore back to these very, very, very old dates at the top. You can simply select that, right click, copy, go to archive, right click, paste values. You can paste those into the archive, go back to the changes made, right click, clear contents to clear the bit, resort by date, so you get resorted back into date order, and you can put them in the archive just to keep track of them. There are 5,000 rows here as well, so you can keep track of the older ones here. It doesn't monitor, it won't monitor here, it doesn't check this for when you do updates or anything like that. This is merely just to store that text, so that if you do end up going, oh my gosh, I need to do an update from 6 months ago, something crazy, you've at least still got that. You can then address these changes and then move those ones back in again. And you can always just make another spreadsheet and copy this data and paste it in and keep it there if you want to keep a backlog of all of the changes you made. The last tab is the dashboard. This is where everything comes together. It all keeps it all on one page. It tells you there's no restore date set, but gives these things change color, so you can see your media unused 119. That's something I'd like to address. Embeds, everything all right. Pages, everything all right. If I come to media and I say, actually, I'd like to remove that, please, and I go back to the dashboard, you can see here I need to remove one media, but there's one page that's got a page alert because that's affected by that media. You can see changes made, changes to make. If I come here and change that changes to make to the 11th again today, I go back to the dashboard, you can see there it highlights it. So this is just an overview. You can come here and see what's going on with all this, with all the information. And this graph on the side here are your last backups that you've done. So I can see if I restore a backup to the 7th of September at 10 o'clock, I don't lose any changes. But if I restore to the 7th of September at 10 a.m., I do lose changes. But then if I put that date in to the changes made, it'll flag up everything that I've done since then. If I'd like to see older restore dates, I just go here, it's page 1 of 4. I go, actually, I'd like to see page 2 of 4, please, and so on. You can go back. So now you know if you restore back, because you can see, okay, the lines, you can see there's only one change, but that's just because I've put one item in. If you've got loads and loads and loads, you'll watch these lines getting longer and longer and longer towards the bottom. So you can see if there's a big jump between two, you may go, well, actually, I don't want to restore that far, and you want to restore to here because there's less that needs to be changed. So just to recap, changes to make, changes made, keep these change logs up to date, make sure you put the right date and time. That's the most imperative thing because it's going to go back. At time, does it need to be the exact time? Not necessarily, but what I would recommend is if you know when your backup times are, if you know it's 10 o'clock, I would make sure that you put anything you do before 10 as before 10, anything you do after 10 as after 10. Make sure you get those boundaries right, because then if you do a restore and you've done something at 5 past 10, you haven't maybe done it at 2 minutes to 10 and then clicked it at 5 past 10, that could pose a problem. But if you've got a backup at 10 a.m. and you do this at 12, whether it's 12, 12:05, 12:55, doesn't really make a difference. Then you've got your pages. This is where the main thing, where everything kind of runs from, where you select the media and the embeds that you've done. Everything else will update automatically for you. All the yellow headers and the potentially grey ones, I think I've done these as red and blue, red and green. But these dark blue headers with the yellow text at least are all formulated, and they will work out automatically for you. Here you can just see how many media and how many embeds you've used per page. Your embeds, that was the other the tab there, and your media tab, let's just remove for now to keep updated. So that's it. It's a fairly complicated spreadsheet as far as using is concerned, but if you just keep your head about you and know what you want to know from the spreadsheet and fill in the correct information, I think once you've actually got this populated, it took me a while to populate it, yes it did, but it was actually a good exercise, because even in going through my website to populate it, I found, I think, 6 or 7 broken images and one missing embed that was causing grief, that I probably wouldn't have found if I hadn't gone through this with a fine-tooth comb. So I went through, put it all in, but now every time I update the website, I open the spreadsheet along with the website, I make the changes that I make, and it keeps track of everything I've done. So not only to help me to I mean, I'll go and remove those media to help me to keep that as efficient as possible, but the biggest change is when I do need to go back. So if a plugin goes funny or causes issues and I go, oh, I need to update, sometimes you don't realize straight away that a plugin's caused issues, and you need to maybe go and restore the website to 3 or 4 days ago. This is brilliant because it now shows me exactly what I've done. I can go back and redo that rather than sitting thinking, okay, now what has that affected? What's the problems? How's it made changes? And also it helps me to remind me of what I need to do, and to help me to keep track of everything that's going on. And when I come then to the media and I want to go, I see an image and I go on one of the pages and I go, actually that image on that page is a little bit outdated, I want to do something more modern. I can then also see, okay, this is used on 3 other pages as well, and go back and find it exactly. It's the same with YouTube videos. Sometimes I'll go, that YouTube video is outdated, let me update it and do a more recent version, but then I'll have to come here and go, well, hold on, which page was that on? And I'll go back and find out which page, or even pages, that video appeared on. So yeah, website content manager, I've kept the price as low as possible. It is quite complicated to use, but if you use it correctly, it can really, really help you out. So if this is something that's for you and you're prepared to use it and you want this to help you to keep on top of your website, I really do wish you all the best, and I hope that this helps you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.